I'm Ellen King Rogers, and we've spayed and neutered 62,000 animals since 1996.
That's amazing, is the truth of the matter.
Yeah, yeah, all in Montana. One
Wow.
trip to Wyoming, one trip to Wyoming.
So tell us a little bit more about the history, the kind of the fun stuff that has taken place with Montana Spay Neuter Task Force.
Well, in 1992, Jean Athow was the founder, and she got a bunch of women together. And Jean had a background in training dogs and working with a real great guy named Jeff Loy, who still does, he calls it the Jeffy Lube jab on animals from kill shelters to make them very adaptable. And he also works with leader dogs for the blind. So he, that Jeff Loy and Jeff Young, Jean found him, and Jeff Young is now Dr. Jeff from Rocky Mountain Pets on the Animal Channel, and another couple of vets all got together and put together a format in which you could go into underserved communities who had a big pet overpopulation problem and start serving those people by making them a part of the solution by offering these big MASH unit type spay neuter events. And however, in the phase one, which is how we start, we would get grants to go into these communities and pay the professionals, and also let the community know that these were professionals that were being paid, and that we were doing this out of respect to every single member of the community, bringing in professionals so that because they had a right to have animals just as much as anyone else, and we were just going to help them reduce pet overpopulation in their areas and also make them feel like a part of the solution. And so we started putting together this MASH unit, just like you see on TV with Alan Alda. And and they put together, and it worked. And actually that is the model that is used in these spay neuter events to this day. And Jeff Young is still going around the world and doing these things. He goes to Czechoslovakia. He works with a pet group in Mexico City. He even has a school out there now. He's training the veterinarians and vet techs to work. He brings in people. He had, Jeff was so cool because also when I started working with him in 1996, he had a running club of kids from inner city, and he does this to this day. And he would bring these 13-year-old kids to the spay neuter events with him so that they could take on responsibility. But when it came to lunchtime, forget it. They all had to go running for a few miles as the running club. Then they'd come back and get back to work. And none of them ever stayed in any of the motels that were provided, or the church floors, or the locker. You know, we stayed everywhere. We've stayed on every floor of every building that you can think of. They would camp. So he would have them out there, and it was like he had this camp going for these kids from inner city, and they are still on his program today. Hector today, who I knew when he was 13 years old, is now a married guy with a couple of gorgeous kids, and he still works with Jeff on TV and traveling all over the world with him. So when he just wanted you guys to know, and he wants Shares and anybody else that's watching this to know how Jean molded his life, and he wouldn't even be doing what he does without her. And so I always felt that way about her too. What she enabled us to do and what continues to go on is really because she planted the seeds of this and was relentless about it, relentless about serving an underserved community and about bringing back their stories to them, their respect for animals, all of our respect for animals, all of us not neglecting something because it's too overwhelming to even deal with, and thereby being able to approach our other community problems with that same vigor and that same direction and that same positive attitude, knowing that if we chip away at it, we can make a difference.
So really, if you want a TV show as a veterinarian or something, you should just volunteer for Montana Spay Neuter Task Force, because it seems like it's a good stepping stone.
I think so. I think so.
Maybe,
Not
maybe
every
not.
other
I
vet
don't know if
has
that's
done
it.
that, though. He's got quite the energy, you know, quite the energetic personality. He
Hmm.
really does love to talk up the visions, you know, and why we're here and what's really on his mind. So very vocal human being.
Hmm.
Anyways, he'd love to talk to you when you want to talk to him.
Okay.
And then anyways, so that's what we do. And Jeff was really a big part of it. I was on the road with him a lot, and all these other wonderful vets, and very proud to be a part of it and help coordinate all these events in which communities would have to get the bedding and the food and the places for us to stay. And, you know, and if it was at people's houses, that was even more wonderful, you know. And when we would go to the Indian reservations, wherever we had to stay, one time we stayed at a casino, which was pretty interesting. And yeah, and we were celebrated. You know, they do celebrations at the end to thank you. It was just an amazing time, an amazing, beautiful time. So I want that to continue. And even in the time of COVID, we find a way. You know, we just have to find a way to keep giving service to people that need it, to keep serving.
You've kind of had some experience in trying times in relationship to shares in the past, right?
I have. I was president of Montana Shares, and also a DJ on my. It was my second week of being a DJ at KGLT when the planes hit the World Trade Center, and I was president of Montana Shares. And so that was an unbelievable experience. And what was happening was that everybody was donating to the Red Cross or to help New Yorkers, or I mean, the whole thing was so unbelievable. And our donations locally in the state of Montana for Montana Shares were starting to go down. And so myself, and I hope it made some kind of a difference, but I said, you know, in times like this, we just have to dig a little deeper into our pockets, because we want to still continue to help this community and this state. And even though we're all, you know, trying to help the people of New York and the people of Pennsylvania and so on, we still have the same issues here, and we still have the same intent of empowering our people and serving our community. So please dig a little deeper, and we will find a way to serve you.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
that's
right,
hence the certificate program.
right.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I mean, this particular COVID-19 issue is a lot more broad-based, but we can easily tend to think that it's a health issue when really it's still affecting everyone across the whole spectrum, whether it's still needing food or needing help with housing, or needing mental health care, or still dealing with cancer, whatever else is going on in their life. These are all events that are still taking place. The broad community need is still taking place, even with the giant pandemic going on.
Yes, and we have, as member groups, you know, we have Bridger Care, and we have Queen City Ballet, and we have, I can't name all the groups. I'm so proud of everybody that I'm affiliated with in Montana Shares, and they're all finding ways to keep people connected and finding ways to let people know that there are services out there. And I particularly, I saw something today on TV was just amazing, and it's about children with special needs and how they need the the school environment to make them feel connected and stimulated and focused. And oh my gosh, it's just an area that hasn't been touched on enough in this situation, in this COVID situation.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So if we could get those kids out there in these events, you know, I'm telling you, in Florida, if I could do spay neuter events outside, since the weather is always balmy, you know, and just do tents and keep it open and keep people at a distance, you know, in Florida, you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Be interesting. It's interesting. It takes a lot of thinking, you know, it takes a lot of figuring out.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that little look back on the history of two organizations, and keeping it all in perspective for us. So thanks for being on the show, and good luck
My pleasure.
down there in Florida, and hope everything's going well with your mother.
Thanks. Thank you. And with all your mothers, with
Yeah,
all
you
your,
bet.
with all your kids and dogs and cats and horses and goodness gracious.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to take time to appreciate the arts and smell the roses too, and eat well. Wash your hands.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for being on the show, Ellen.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.